fast in Ramadan, is it okay to taste the food?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Indeed, it is okay if you are fasting to taste the food. There is no harm in that. You have to be careful that you should not swallow anything while you are tasting the food. So it is okay for the sisters, may Allah reward them, to taste the food and to cook and keep cooking for the husband. There is no problem in that, inshallah.
Next question is, when are children supposed to fast the whole day?
Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in the authentic hadith narrated by Ahmed and others, he ordered our children to pray once they have 7 years. So this year, the boy or the girl is ready to fast. Of course, it is not obligation, but again, they have the ability. Even less than 7, some children, they do it. 6 years and 5 years, they can do it, even though it's summer. Allah Azza wa Jal never ordered us something to do over our burden. Even the children, they can do that. So let us try with 7 years, no more, to establish this fasting. We should motivate him. And as the brother, Jazallah Khair, Abu Hafs mentioned, when they used to fast Ashura, because Ashura was an obligation before Ramadan, so the kids used to fast with them. And when they start crying from hunger, they used to give them some doll from wool to play with it, so they can be distracted from thinking and eating or drinking up to Maghrib time. So it is a duty upon us to teach our children, to take care of them since early age, and be sure that alhamdulillah they have the ability. They need just some encouragement from ourselves, inshallah ta'ala.
I read that a person is rewarded when they feed a poor person iftar. But in America, no one is poor. Can we gain that same reward if we feed our relatives or neighbors iftar, even if they are doing well financially?
Indeed, there's the hadith, man fattara sa'iman, the hadith, whoever gives food to a person who is fasting to break his fast is not limited or tied to a poor person. No, the hadith is in general. Man fattara sa'iman, whosoever gives food for a person, a fasting person in general. So anytime you invite a fasting person to break fasting, even though by giving him water, you are rewarded, inshaAllah ta'ala, by the mercy and the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. So it is not a condition to be a poor person. Yes, it is an obligation upon us to take care of the poor, needy around us, if we know some of them, the Muslim one, and inshallah the reward will be multiplied in this case. But in general, there is no condition to your guest should be a poor person.
Jazakallahu khair wa barakallahu feek. A couple questions here. How do I perform Witr prayer?
Witr prayer, as well known from the authentic Sunnah, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam used to pray Witr sometimes when he is little late in optional prayer, tahajjud. He said, and if you are afraid to miss al-fajr, so make Witr with 1 rak'ah. It's enough and suffice. He used to pray 3 rak'ah. He used to pray 5, 7, 9 and 11 sometimes. And the way how to do it, 1 rak'ah is well known. It's an easy thing to do. 3 rak'ah. So he used to do it as Maghrib, but without sitting in the middle. There is no tahiyyat in the second. It's the difference between the Witr and this hadith narrated by Nasa'i and others from Aisha, that he sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam prayed 3 rak'ah together, but he did not sit down. He used to sit down in the second as we do in Maghrib. And 2 rak'ah separated and then followed by a rak'ah. 5 rak'ah sitting in the last, 7 rak'ah sitting in the last, 9 rak'ah sitting in the 8th or the 9th, 11 rak'ah sitting in the 10th and the 11th one. This is the way how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make his witr.
Jazakallahu khair wa barakallahu feek. when should we state our intention for the fast?
As we will hear after Maghrib, we have a lot of ahkam of fasting, inshallah ta'ala. Of course, we need the intention to be established in the night, the first night of Ramadan. Is it suffice one intention for the whole month? Yes, it is suffice. Unless you break for sickness or traveling, so you have to renew the niyyah again once you are covered, cured, or resident again. So the niyyah should be, as we will hear the evidence regarding every and each ruling, inshallah ta'ala, from the authentic Sunnah. So inshallah, after Maghrib we will cover this ahkam, inshallah. What acts? Yeah, we have the lecture. Some of the questions, we will not answer them now, like this question, what acts invalidate fasting? Indeed, I have, this will be included in my lecture, inshallah ta'ala. We will cover it, inshallah.
Jazakallahu khair wa barakallahu feek. If I intentionally did not fast previous Ramadans, what can I do?
May Allah Azza wa Jal forgive you, and may Allah Azza wa Jal have mercy upon you. Indeed, it is so harmful for a person to break intentionally, without excuse, the month of Ramadan, or decided that I do not want to fast. But if this happened, still Babu Tawbah Maftuh. So Tawbah gates is still open. Regretting a lot about what happened, feeling so bad about leaving this pillar of Islam without a reason, doing your best with a lot of optional fasting, and after the Tawbah, increasing your righteous good deed. The same ruling about the person who did not pray in the past and he came back to Allah Azza wa Jal. The majority of the scholars say he have to make up these days, this number of salawat that he missed. But myself, my opinion, I said, if somebody left the prayer for 15 or 20 years and you ask him to make up 15 or 20 years, indeed it is a hardship and difficulty that will be so difficult for that person to submit or even to do. So if Allah Azza wa Jal for the menstruating woman, He did not ask her to repeat the days that while having the menstruation she leaves, while she having that menstruation she cannot pray 5-7 days or more, Allah never asked that woman to pray or to make up that days that she missed in her menstruation. Min babi awla, so it is more difficult for that person. Of course somebody will say, well, but this is, menstruation is not the hand of the woman. It's something given by Allah Azza wa Jalla to her. I said yes, but indeed there is no hardship or difficulty. So what we can do, Shaykh Al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala used to say, the one who left the prayer for years and he came back to Allah Azza wa Jal, he should make a sincere tawbah, he should regret about leaving the prayers, and he should increase the number of optional prayer after that, and righteous good deed, and inshallah ta'ala, this will cover inshallah what he missed inshallah.
Jazakallahu khair wa barakallahu feek. What is the best way to repent in Ramadan? Also, do you get the same reward if you read the Quran in English by trying to understand it?
What is the best way to repent in
Ramadan? And then in addition, also, do you get the same reward if you read the Quran in English by trying to understand it?
You know, tawbah nasuh is required. The sincere tawbah is required in Ramadan and outside Ramadan. And the ulama say it is called nasuh. Nasuh min nasaha al-asal idha khalusa min al-shawa'ib. When we say nasuh, mean it is pure. Nothing, you are not deceiving yourself. You are not cheating yourself in this tawbah. You know that you did something wrong, you want to get rid of it, and you want to get closer to your Lord. So what should you do? For a sincere tawbah, leaving the sins, and I'm advising my brothers and sisters, some brothers or sisters, they quit from doing the sins during the month of Ramadan only. But once Ramadan finished, they come back to doing the same sin, which is not a good sign to accept, to know that your Ramadan is accepted from Allah Azza wa Jal. As Salaf used to say, من علامة قبول العمل من علامة قبول العمل أن يفتح الله لك بابا للطاعة بعد الطاعة. Indeed, one of the signs to have an accepted deed, if you want to know if Allah Azza wa Jal accepted from you your deed or not, that one of the signs, the Salaf said, that you will see yourself finishing an act of worship and engaging in another one. This means that the ibadah that you did, inshallah, it is accepted from Allah Azza wa Jal. So the tawbah needed three things, as you know. First, leaving the sin. Second, regret. To regret about doing that sin. And third, no more. You have to quit absolutely. You should not come back again to that sin. This is a sincere tawbah if you did something between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. The scholar said, if you did something wrong to a person, so you have to add another condition, which is to give the rights back to that person before the day of judgment, where there is no dirham or dinar to pay. It's hasanat. You have to settle with your hasanat if you do not fix or reform what you did to that person. So the most thing in the tawbah, as the brothers mentioned, take it an opportunity. Take it serious. It is, if Allah gives you life to witness Ramadan, wallahi, it is a sign of mahabbah and love from Allah if you use it. Otherwise, something that will push you away from Allah the Almighty. So use the time, use the month to clean yourself from the sins. Repent, a sincere repentment, and steadfast for that. This is the most important thing, inshallah ta'ala.
And the second question, Shaykh, was if you read the Quran in English, or
if
you get the same reward if you read the Quran in English by trying to understand it.
Okay, reading the Quran, it is only the Arabic verse. Translation in English, Spanish, Urdu, Pashto, whatever the language, it's not considered Quran. Al-Quran هو النص العربي فقط. Quran is the Arabic text only. So if you read the Quran in Arabic and read beside that some translation to understand, this will be great. This will be great. If you read the Arabic, then you read the translation to understand what you are reading. Yeah, this is the best thing that you should do. Because I met some of the Huffaz that Allah blessed them with Hifd al-Quran, but if you ask him, what did you recite in the Salah? He said, I do not understand. I do not know what I recited. I just have the Quran memorized. I said, no. Sit down. The surah that you want to recite, the ayat, read the translation to it. It will give you more even devotion, khushu' in your salah. You will feel the words of Allah coming to you. You will deal with it in a great manner. You will get effect of it a lot. But if you just read without noting, yes, inshallah you will be rewarded for the recitation, but the Quran was not revealed just to recite it. It's acting upon it. It's tadabbur. It's to ponder. This is the main goal why the Quran was revealed to this ummah. So it's not considered the text, English text Quran, but while you're reading the Arabic, yes, you can read the translation to understand what you are reading.
Jazakallahu khair wa barakallahu feek. The last quick question, doesn't have to do with the topic, but I'm making an exception. Is marijuana haram?
Marijuana haram? Yeah, if somebody doubts about it, yeah. Of course, intoxicant, right?
Intoxicants.
Intoxicants, Jazakumullah khair for the English that I'm striving to learn. And you have to make dua for me to learn more English, right?
Ameen.
Yes. So in general, it is haram. كل مسكر خمر وكل خمر حرام. That's what the Prophet ﷺ indicated us. That every intoxicant is haram. So we mentioned last night regarding the question about drugs, is it haram or not? Of course, we said everything that harms you, harm your brain, harm your body, it is haram to do it. It is haram to consume it. It is haram to sell it. And when the Shara', the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, made something haram, so the price, the money that comes from that thing is haram also. So it is not allowed to consume or to sell. The khamr is the same thing. Because sometimes you hear some brother saying, well, ya Shaykh, Alhamdulillah, I do not drink it. I just sell it. And wallah, to be honest with you, if a Muslim come, I will never sell to a Muslim person. I said, it's the same ruling. Selling to Muslim or non-Muslim, it is haram. Rasulullah ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ إِذَا حَرَّمَ شَيْءٍ حَرَّمَ ثَمَنَهُ. If Allah the Almighty made something haram, He also makes the money that comes from that thing is haram. ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم in a hadith narrated by Muslim rahimahullah said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ بَيْعَ الْخَمْرِ وَالْخِنْزِيرِ وَالْأَصْنَامِ. That Allah the Almighty made it haram, selling khamr, khinzir and asnam, idol or statue. It's haram to sell it. So everything, as I mentioned, that when the Quran or the Sunnah of the Prophet tell us about something that it is haram because there is a pure harm on it or a predominant harm on it. This is why Allah made it haram, or His Messenger ﷺ made it haram for us. So what's our obligation, duty? Our obligation, this is a body, your body is given to you from Allah the Almighty. Indeed, you do not own that body. It belongs to Allah the Almighty. And He gave it to you in a way, in a shape, you should be thankful to Allah. Use the blessing, use the hands, the eyes, whatever Allah bestowed upon you to worship Him. Use these blessings as a tool to get near to Allah Azza wa Jal, but never ever use that tools to disobey Allah the Almighty. Done? The last question, but I want just to focus a little bit around to give the mic to Shaykh Mohammad, inshallah. I mentioned last night, because the question saying, well, I did not understand, or I'm a little confused about Tahiyyatul Masjid while the Imam is giving his khutbah. So there is indeed a weak hadith, considered by the scholar of hadith is weak. The hadith said, إِذَا صَعَدَ الْإِمَامُ الْمِنْبَرَ فَلَا كَلَامَ وَلَا صَلَاةَ. That when the Imam climbed or ascended the member, there is no talk, no salah. This hadith is weak, is not authentic. We have a different narration in Bukhari, Muslim and others, where Rasulullah ﷺ, as I mentioned last night, when he saw one of the companions, his name Sulaik, came to the masjid in Jum'ah while he was giving the khutbah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. So the companion Sulaik entered and sat down. He did not perform 2 rak'ah of Tahiyyatul Masjid. Then the Prophet ﷺ suddenly stopped his khutbah and he called him by his name in front of the companion. He said, Ya Sulaik, asallayt? O Sulaik, did you pray? He said, no. He said, get up and pray 2 rak'ah. Then he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whosoever enters the masjid while the Imam is giving his khutbah, let him perform 2 lightly rak'ah. Riwayat Muslim, فَلْيَرْكَعْ رَكْعَتَيْنِ. He should make 2 rak'ah before sitting. Is that considered Sunnatul Jum'ah or Tahiyyatul Masjid? It is Tahiyyatul Masjid because indeed Jum'ah prayer has no Sunnah before it. No Sunnah before it. Why? Because at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, he used to ascend the member, then Bilal used to make the adhan. There is no such a narration, even a weak narration says to us that he used to leave the member, to make 2 rak'ah, then climb again to start his khutbah. No way. He used to stand in the member, Bilal calls for the adhan, then he starts his khutbah. So if you come little late, it's just making 2 lightly rak'ah to hear the khatib, what is his saying. That's about the question that we mentioned. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.